I must start first with the views and opinions expressed. Venue where opinions are being expressed are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of name of entity. Any content provided by our bloggers or authors are of their opinion, and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual or anyone or anything. The purpose of telling about this is so others know to avoid this counselor, which I will tell about as follows. I will tell some parts quickly so I can get to the point and proof of the issue. The names have been changed to protect her family. Due to lives issues, the beginning of Rich's and Kay's relationship was rough. But the both of them loved each other and they both were willing to start over. So Kay started counseling with Vikland on the notion that she would do whatever it took to make the relationship work. Kay believed that she overreacted at times in her relationship with Rich. Rich wanted Kay to go to a Christian therapist to help her work things out. Kay started counseling with Vikland to help her emotionally regulate herself and not overreact. Kay didn't ever believe in not expressing your feelings. In fact, she had spent a lot of her life to learn how to be in touch and to communicate her feelings. Still, something was triggering her that caused Kay to overreact. Kay was willing to do whatever it took to have a successful relationship with Rich. Vikland decided the best way to control overreacting was to control a portion of the brain called the reptilian part of the brain. By controlling the reptilian part of the brain, Kay could learn to not overreact. The reptilian part of the brain is responsible for defending yourself, such as in the fight, flight, freeze. For example, if a lion, tiger or bear attacks, and also helps to adapt to life changes and challenges and your ability to respond to threats. A lifesaver. The reptilian brain is responsible for all the primitive brain functions. Since then, Kay has learned almost all therapists say suppressing the reptilian brain is a bad idea. At the same time, holding back your anger is not a good thing. Communication is key.
This is one of our first counseling sessions. I will tell it in two ways, the authentic recording, then in duplicate script, so that you can understand what's being said.
Training your brain to not go into the fight or flight mode. It takes time. It's very hard. It's exhausting. I think you can relearn. Yes, I do. You're very intelligent. You're very self-aware. You're very willing to look at what you could do differently, and you're willing to practice it. I do believe you can get that, but I do believe it's going to be hard work. We don't change easily. I mean, you can change, but it doesn't change willingly or easily. But once it does, it does. And it becomes second nature. That was always the way you did it. So,
I do not mind the hard work.
I would say all the future is going to have to do, and that will be the hardest.
Then in duplicate script.
Vikland's counseling is as follows. To not go into a fight and flight mode is it takes time, it's very hard, it's exhausting. I think you can relearn. Yes, I do. You're very intelligent and you're very self-aware. You're very willing to look at what you can do differently, and you're willing to practice it. I do believe you can get there. I do believe it's going to be hard work. We don't change willingly or easily. Once it does, it does. It will be like the way you have always done it. I would say on all the things you're going to have to relearn, that will be the hardest. Rich and I had been in a relationship for about 3 years. We were living in San Diego. I had business and family in Washington, so at times I would have to be gone for up to 6 weeks at a time. I suspected that Rich may be dating another woman from the church. I went to Vikland to ask how to deal with the situation. I was very emotional at the time, and I trusted and I followed her lead at face value as a professional. I will tell the story with the authentic recording, then in duplicate script so that you can understand what's being said.
I must admit I do have this desire to go down to San Diego and expose him. I bet you do. Again, word for word, another session with Vikland. Okay, so that's not an evil thing.
No, actually it's not. And I have a friend who fell in love with somebody over there, like a online dating. And he was in the East working, and he was going to come home, and they were going to get married, and awful, nothing.
Then in duplicate script so that you can understand what's being said.
No, actually it's not. I have a friend who fell in love with somebody on online dating. He was working, and he was going to come home, and they were going to get married, and it was a scam, it was awful nothing. Okay, so my exposing him to this girl and I know which church they're going to, that would be actually doing her some good.
For you would want to know. If he wasn't telling you about this woman, but she knew about you would want to know, because, if he really is dating somebody from church, she's probably like totally naive, totally trusting, has no idea what he's capable of. So it's a thought. You want to go if you don't have the money, but if you have the money and the time, and there's another reason maybe for going to California, so you can enjoy yourself and maybe change it out of it. But I would say that would totally be up to you. But I know it helps my friend with the relationship she was in. And she still misses that guy.
Then in duplicate scripts so that you can understand what's being said. Yes, it would if it were you. You would want to know. If he wasn't telling about this woman but she knew about you, you would want to know, because you know if he is really dating somebody from church, she's probably like totally naive and totally trusting, has no idea of what he's capable of. So, it's a thought. If you don't want to go because you don't have the money and the time, but if you have the money and the time, and another reason for going to California so you can enjoy yourself, make a little vacation out of it, I would say that would be totally up to you. I know it helped my friend, and she still misses that guy.
Land hasn't learned from the first client that still hasn't gotten over that guy. I guess because it's no skin off her teeth. Or does Vicland enjoy the excitement she gets from getting her clients to do this? There is that inappropriate laugh again.
Almost all counselors would discourage their clients from taking any actions, would hopefully work to calm her client down. I have been told by another counselor they would tell their client to stay as far away as possible. Vicland is doing just the opposite. Vicland just egged me on. The definition of egging someone on is, to egg someone on means to incite a person to take a course of action, to encourage someone to do something, especially something socially unacceptable, something criminal or something dangerous. This phrase usually carries a negative connotation.
At the time I'm not seeing what she is doing because I'm trusting her.
Kay couldn't get a grip of her emotions. This behavior caused Kay's nervous system to go out of whack. Kay couldn't get herself in balance again so she could get her footing again. Kay was in a constant mode of flight or flee. This was the opposite of what Kay came to counseling for.
I think knowing my sister that she would have thought that her counselor is her safety net and wouldn't send her client into an emotionally amped up situation, right? Someone help me understand what a therapist with a master's degree is doing sending my sister who has PTSD into this situation. People get gunned down every day doing this kind of action. My sister could have been killed then and there. To me this therapist is very scary.
Then in duplicate scripts so that you can understand what's being said. Yes.
Unfortunately, it will probably take getting hurt really bad. I don't know. I think you have an attraction to him, and he to you that is undeniable.
Unfortunately, it will take getting hurt really bad to stay away from him. I don't know. I think you have an attraction to him and he to you that is undeniable.
That a person needs to get hurt really badly to work things out or to heal. Or did Vicland just enjoy people getting hurt? I never indicated wanting to end the relationship.
Why, if Rich and I have an undeniable attraction to each other, does Vicland not guide and encourage me to work through this bump in the road? Undeniable attraction or bond to each is a positive thing. A positive counselor would have guided their client to help them enhance that bond and build a relationship. Instead, Sickland is doing whatever she can to tear our bond apart.
This is not Sickland's first clash with stalking, or with what seems like encouraging people to think it's a good idea to get really hurt. This is a pattern for Vicland, as you will see.
Especially one of my girls. One of my girls is, for sure. And it's taken getting really beat down by him before she would leave him. That's what she's doing now. She left him because he called her again, and then I was married, and said she was obsessing over him and stalking him, and she needed to get over. Well, she's like, it came out of nowhere because she's super attached.
Especially one of my girls. One of my girls is for sure. It's taken getting really beat down by him before she would leave him. What she is doing now, she left him, he called her a fucking bitch again. Was married and said she was obsessing over him and stalking him and cheating. He said it came out of nowhere because she's super attached.
In her client's session, this is not Vic's session, to talk about her own daughter stalking. Oh my god, that's not normal. To want to see her own daughter get beat down is sick.
I am not interested in her daughter Brianna ex-boyfriend calling her a fucking bitch. I'm not doing counseling to have a tea party. Vikland continues to talk about other clients as if Vikland wants to tear relationships apart.
And a person like that, I have another client who has the female version of in his life. He cannot get her out of his head, and same exact thing. I'm driving him crazy. Yeah. Move on the best you can. I mean, it isn't easy. Move on the best you can. I mean, it isn't easy.
Has the female version of Rich.
It's not up to Vikland to make that kind of judgment call for someone else's life. She seriously lacks boundaries, if any.
No two people are the same. Then making life judgments off of this generalization, that affects other people's lives. This is invalidating and even violating her clients. She's treating her clients as if they don't have a mind of their own. In other words, Vikland is exploiting her clients.
Vikland specializes in counseling children and, believe it or not, anxiety. Counseling, just like church, is a perfect platform to exploit children. Children can be exploited and are every day.
What makes Vikland think she's entitled to know what's best for another person? When we do our best to understand the people's needs is when other people feel we care about them as individuals. What if that client follows her advice and regrets it for the rest of their lives like I do? What's Vikland going to say? Oh, sorry, I guess I was wrong. Vikland totally lacks empathy and acts as if she is all-knowing and is entitled to tell people how to live their lives. Traits of a narcissist: it's lack of empathy. People with narcissist cannot relate to or understand the suffering of others. They have feelings of entitlement. People with narcissistic traits are envious and suspicious of other people and enjoy hurting people and animals. It's not just liking to look at yourself in the mirror. Narcissism is a serious illness, a pathologically of the inner person. Narcissists often wear a mask to cover up their true inner selves and intentions.
This one client, he's a new client, and what he's saying, like how he acts, happy, confident. I'm a great guy, and I'm really nice, and I would never do anything bad. So doesn't line up, right? He looks like a nice guy. He knows he is a good guy. I'm a great guy, and I'm really nice, and I would never do anything bad. So doesn't line up, right? I'm a great guy, and I'm really nice, and I would never do anything bad. Doesn't line up, right? I'm a great guy, and I'm really nice, and I would never do anything bad. Doesn't line up, right? Are you making a judgment about this person in this situation that doesn't need to be made? Because we tend to make judgments really fast. Well, he's this way, therefore I'm that. That's why when you ask me, do you think he's narcissist? Do you think he's this? I won't really give you an answer. Yeah. He's not my client, so I don't really know. Basic characteristics of those things, sure, but I don't know his background. I don't know why he does what he does. I just know what you tell me. So for me, I try to withhold judgment because it doesn't help me to put love into like a box. And right.
Remember,
Vikland is preaching move on, move on. Yet Vikland doesn't follow her own advice, as she has said she is unhappy in her own marriage.
Because of my relationship with my husband, he can't do this anymore. You need to step up, and then he does. So as long as he makes progress, then I'm fine with it. But I have been very lonely with no companionship and not feeling loved. And then, maybe sex once in a while, but I was in that like and now it's kind of like, I told Mike, when these girls move out, you need to step up because I'm going to die on the vine.
My relationship with Mike blah blah blah, I can't do this anymore. You need to step up, and he does, so as long as he makes progress I'm fine with it. I have been very lonely with no companionship, no feeling of being loved. Yes, sex once in a while, nah. I told Mike, when these girls grow up you need to step up because I'm going to die on the 9.
Vikland is talking about the amount of sex she gets from her husband during my counseling session. This is so inappropriate. I actually feel sorry for her husband. Why with her husband does she have the attitude as long as he makes progress things are fine? She obviously knows what it's like to be very lonely with no companionship, no feeling of being loved. Yet she's going to tell other people to get beaten down and to move on. That they're going to need to get really hurt. Instead of guiding them through like a legitimate counselor would do. Sickland is seriously sick and fits the traits of a narcissist. Narcissists enjoy seeing other people get hurt. This is dangerous, especially for a counselor to have, because we tend to blindly trust that a counselor's goal is to help. We're blind to the idea that a counselor would want to hurt their clients. So, it makes them twice as dangerous.
Zero respect, zero desire to work with the situation, unless it's her own situation. All she is interested in is ripping people apart.
And if Vickland is so into people getting hurt to get over the relationship, why is she not taking her own advice? Or is getting really hurt only for other people? That's sick. So Vickland likes telling people to get hurt, including her own daughter, while she continues to be in an unhappy marriage.
I consider myself to be a strong Christian woman, but though, and I really believe, this is my faith, I believe that God allowed me to go there, allowed it to happen, so that I could understand why people cheat on their spouses and why people, because before that I couldn't understand it. Like, why would you do that? Why would you committed to this person? Why would you cheat? Blah, blah, blah. Well, now I know. Yes, now that I have been, I get it. It affects me. I get it. That's why I would never judge anybody. I'm like, I get it. The guy that I.
Do I consider myself to be a strong Christian woman? I do. I really believe my faith. I believe that God allowed me to go there. Allowed it to happen so I could understand why people. Why for a minute there I couldn't understand it? Why would you do that? Why would you? You're married to this person. Why would you cheat, blah blah blah? Well, now I know yet. Now that I have been. I get it, I get it. I will never judge anybody. I get it.
This was the relationship I had with Rich. It was a much healthier relationship than Sickland has with her husband, who she's been married to for over 31 years.
Let me go over there. When I was over there with you, you never had a problem with me. True or untrue?
If we are to link back up together in the future, how will we establish trust?
Thank you for saying that. Here's where we're going to establish trust. Establishing trust is when I see, I'm going to go get some refreshments. I'll be back in 10, 15 minutes. I go to a local store, and I go from A to B, and I don't see nobody, I don't talk to nobody. I'm loyal to one woman. I'm extremely capable of doing it. I did it for 37 years. I can do it again. I don't have desires to be with a woman. Number one, that's not a lady. Number two is I need to focus energy on something that I see that I have hope. I love you. I think I'm more emotional than you are, in a way where I cry for you a lot. I'm emotional for you because I get emotional with you because I have feelings for you. Apparently, you have had feelings for me, and you've got emotional more than what you've ever had ever since I've known you. Now you want to say, how can we develop trust? The way we can develop trust, I think, is if you need to get plugged into the Lord, both of us together. Once we do that, let's stay focused. And when I say we spend time every day in a still devotional, I'm looking for a woman that's more sound with the Lord instead of more sound in herself and her goals. I'm looking for a woman that is willing to focus on God first. Then work for your business in that order. If we're not willing to meet those requirements, then we're wasting our time. That's what I see in a relationship. What you can say, well, I agree with that. This is exactly what I'd like to do. I agree with you. Let's focus on that. That's exactly. These are my principles. It's documented. I know I've made mistakes. I've pulled it down. I know I can prove to you all the scars that I have. and I pick myself up, and I will always remain. I will set my eyes on God. I will submit myself to God. God will be priority in my life more than you. I have sinned before. I have asked for forgiveness. I have picked myself up, and then I'm going to focus, put my eyes on God. Number one focus. Believe that I put myself on God, everything else will fall in perspective. Then we'll focus myself on family, which if you and I get together, it's family, even though we're not married. But I'd say in our rising, we talk about marriage, we get married, and that's a great thing. Then we focus on business and leisure. Told you that 100 times. God, family, and business or leisure. Crying, you have a lot of love for me. You have a lot of love for you.
Let me go over there. When I was over there, you never had a problem with me, true or untrue?
If we are to link back up in the future, how are we going to establish trust?
Thank you for saying that. Establishing trust is when I say I'm going go get some refreshments, I will be right back in 10 or 15 minutes. I go to the local store and come right back, and I go from A to B. I don't see nobody, I don't talk to nobody. I will be loyal to one woman. I am extremely capable of doing it. I did it for over 37 years. I can do it again. I don't have desires to be with other women. Number one, that's not healthy. Number two, I need to focus energy on something I see that am going to have hope. I love you, K. I think I'm more emotional than you are, in a way where I cry for you, I get emotional for you, I have deep feelings for you. Here lately you have had deep feelings for me and gotten emotional for me more than you ever have. We both need to get plugged into the Lord, both of us together. Once we do that, let's stay focused. I'm looking for a woman that's sound with the Lord. Instead, or more sound in herself and her goals. I am looking for a woman that is willing to focus on God first. I know I've made mistakes. I know I can prove to you all the scars that I have picked myself up, and I will always remain with my eyes set on God. I will submit myself to God. I have asked for forgiveness. I have picked myself up. I put my focus on God, my number one focus. And everything else will fall in perspective. Then I will focus myself on family. Which you and I, we are family even though we're not married. In the horizon we talk about marriage. We get married, and that's a great thing. You have a lot of love for me, I have a lot of love for you. I think you have gotten more emotional. I had more than I ever dreamed of. I had never had a family before, nor someone who loved me so much. Nor a best friend like Rich. How did I get so off course, so confused? I got sucked into Sickland's paranoia, which is really dark and horrible place to be. 1 year of counseling with Sickland, and the man that I would have spent the rest of my life with is gone.
And you probably did have, were in love. I don't doubt any of that. But the time when you were together and it was good, that it was really good. Yeah, but it doesn't mean he can do that for long term. It doesn't mean he can do that long term with anybody. Most men don't leave their wives. You know what I mean? So I think that it had to be that his conscience or something was like finally getting to him over all the affairs or something to get him to leave. So.
Or was our relationship that special that he left his wife?
I think it was a combination of your relationship and others. And his affairs. Mm-hmm. I don't, and I hate to say that, but I think that yes, you were a part of that for sure. But if he didn't just totally jump back in a relationship with you without getting on Craigslist, then you were just there just in case.
What's wrong with me? Rich married another woman, and from what I know he has been true to her. Kay will never heal from the 1 year of counseling she had with Sickland. How can you heal from this? Rich was the love of her life. You can't heal from this.
I just calling you, checking on to see how things are. We're working tonight to prep the floor. How late? Call me. Okay, I'm trying to help you, but you're so gullible.
I didn't hear the rest of what Rich was saying. Because for me, when someone starts insulting me, I shut down. I was so gullible is right.
Consider listening to me. I would press on calling so we can come up with a plan.
Rich is trying to help me and he's asking me to call him so we can make plans. Oh my god, what have I done? I had a chance to mend my mistake that Vikland egged me on to do in the first place, and she's just laughing at all, and I am waiting for some encouragement, especially after getting knocked off balance. I needed help and support, and it seems to be that Vikland is just getting a thrill out of watching both Rich and me struggle. Oh my god, I hadn't seen that Vikland totally lacks empathy. Vikland didn't give a shit about me.
And has psychologically destroyed me. Oh my god. I have been traumatized by this sick counselor.
What's wrong with me?
You fell in love with the wrong guy. I don't know. I could analyze it to death, but you love him, you care about him, you want it to work out. It could be that simple.
You fell in love with the wrong guy. You love him, you care about him. You want it to work out. It could be that simple.
Rich meant everything in the world to me. Kay met Rich in Hawaii, which is where they would have gotten married.
Within 2 weeks had fallen head over heels in love with him, and within a month, after being with Rich, I told him that I would follow him anywhere. I admit that Rich and I had hard times. He couldn't find a job for nearly 2 years. We were poor most of the time. I didn't care.
Rich wasn't some guy Kay had met from an online dating site. Rich was real. Rich had served in the Navy for 23 years, and although he wasn't employed at the time, he was Secret Service. Rich is Hispanic and we were going to flip houses together.
I had life made.
Vikland had never met nor asked Kay anything about Rich until after promoting her to go down to San Diego. By then it was too late. Oh my god. What have I done? Kay couldn't stand looking at wedding dresses or tolerating watching a wedding on the beach. Rich and Kay would have gotten married if it hadn't been for Vikland. This man was my family, my best friend, my protector, my provider, my confidant, my partner to travel with, the person to make plans with, my special person in this cold world who loved me, the person who went to the doctor with me, and the person I wanted to grow old with. This person was everything in the world to me, and the person I was very so in love with, and it was nice to have Rich's sister as sister.
I had life made.
Kay would have had a family. And a life partner. Someone to spend the rest of her life with.
I am and always will be totally in love with Rich. I have never loved anyone more in my entire life, and living life without Rich, what's the point?
And I think find happiness in life without a man. It's easy for me to say yes because I'm married, but...
That's an awfully big but.
I can't believe I have done this. I had spent all my life working to be a better person.
And I was trying to do the right thing. I trusted the wrong person.
And in less than a year of having this sick person in my life, she has destroyed my life and everything that had meant anything. I followed her down the rabbit hole and now I have been poisoned.
Now I was in a constant mode of flight and flee. The very thing I started in counseling to not be. I was more than ever, and my minor PTSD was now complex. My biggest fear in the beginning was losing Rich. And now I was panicking over that fear. During counseling with Sickland, my biggest fear became heartache if I stayed in the relationship. Then after the damage was done, my biggest fear of losing Rich was back, and I was so twisted around. I was chasing my tail. I was so fried I didn't know which end was up or down. All I needed was a little encouragement. And I would have made it back to Rich. Vikland was able to encourage me to do the wrong thing. But where is the encouragement to do the right thing? I wish I had never met Vikland. She psychologically destroyed me and destroyed my life.
This is an example of the worst counseling I have ever had. This woman is a nightmare. Now I am afraid of going to a counselor. And while she was having a mental breakdown, Vikland discharged Kay as a client after having her sign a release form. Vikland couldn't be held responsible or liable for any of Kay's actions, due to Vikland's lack of ethical and lack of legal considerations. Therefore, Kay couldn't sue Vikland for medical malpractice. Although Kay had asked for her medical records about a dozen times, she never received them. Kay suffered a mental breakdown for about a year. Without knowing it, Kay lost 40 pounds and self. How did my sister's counseling go from not overreacting to being the informant to the other woman? This is sick and sadistic. No wonder my sister was fried. The only scam artist here is Vikland. It's normal to have the feelings my sister had. Counselor with boundaries that are that skewed up is bullshit. Take a little vacation out of it. WTF. Idea that another person needs to get really hurt. WTF. Even her own daughter needs to be really beaten down. Oh my god. And stalk her boyfriend due to attachment issues. That's sick and sadistic. I am in shock over this counselor even having a license, and wish my sister had never ever met this fraudulent therapist. Now Vikland talks about other women's lives that are train wrecks and how I need to enjoy being alone. If I can save just one person from this counselor lack of common sense and lack boundaries, my time and effort will be worth it. Here is what Sickland said to me once. I say this to you, Mike Land. Imagine if a brownie had just a pinch of dog shit in it. Someone baked the brownies and they smelled really good, and offered you a bite and you knew there was just a smidge of dog poop in them. Would you want to eat them? Most men don't divorce their wives. But most men who are not happy in their marriage once their children are grown up do divorce their wives. Mike Land, do you want to eat the brownie with dog shit in it? Mike.
How can you trust? How can you trust? How can you trust?
Her.
How can you trust him? How can you trust?
Remember, God said that there will be good and there will be evilness, and the evil will present itself as being good. Where the forgiveness, where's the Christianity? This woman uses religion as a mask.
So for me, I try to withhold judgment because it doesn't help me to put love into like a box. So for me, I try to withhold judgment because it doesn't help me to put love into like a box. So for me, I try to withhold judgment because it doesn't help me to put love into like a box.
And now Vikland is going to tell me how someone she has never met feels. Start telling me Rich wasn't that much of a man and how he didn't really love me. This is a cover-up for Vikland's destructive ways of handling things. That's very cruel and very selfish. If Vikland has been manipulating people all her life, then she's going to know very well how to weasel out of such things. This is a sick person.
Yeah, how can you trust him? How can you trust? How can you trust him? How can you trust him? How can you trust him? Scares me. That's the part that scares me. Like, let's say you were to love me and go down and whatever. I mean, my fear for you would be, that there would be a lot of party down that road for you. Down that road, party down that road for you. That's not the relationship you and I have. I don't tell you anything. I bring things up. You talk about them and you give me what you think about them, and then I try to ask you questions to better understand you and where you're coming from and where you.
Vikland talks about our relationship with concern. However, I'm not in counseling for the purpose of the type of relationship she and I have. And nor should it be the center of my counseling. And yet it's the only part of my counseling that Sickland has ever taken seriously. She is a very lonely, toxic, and sick woman, who uses counseling as a means of fulfilling her own needs. As she leaves behind a path of destruction behind her, I don't know why I didn't see how unprofessional Vikland is. No wonder she aims to work with children. That doesn't change that she has no boundaries or that she is totally unprofessional for other people, nor for their lives.
What good counseling should look like: someone who helps you to be in touch with how you feel. Good counselor doesn't tell you how you feel. This is the opposite of what a counselor is supposed to be about. Nor does a good counselor manipulate her clients. My condition of codependency exacerbated due to really bad counseling, which is the results of seeing a counselor who tells you how you feel. I used to have a rule of thumb: anytime someone tells you how you feel, you're being manipulated. I don't know what happened to that belief. I guess I lost myself. Also, a good counselor would have been encouraging their client to take risk using the proper channels. When we take risk and we're successful is when we increase our self-esteem. Sickland enjoys people getting really hurt. The number one reason people commit suicide is because of mental anguish and pain.
I can't change the fact that I trusted Sickland. If I can take the mask off of this very sick counselor, save just one child or adult, then hopefully they won't make the same mistake of trusting her. That's all I can hope for. That's all that's left. I wish I could apologize to Rich, but it's too late. He's not listening, and why should he? I can't change the fact that I trusted Sickland. If I can take the mask off of this very sick counselor, save just one child or adult, then hopefully they won't make the same mistake of trusting her. That's all I can hope for. That's all that's left.
I have reported this counselor to the health department and to her current co-workers. Someone needs to protect the children and adults that blindly trust Sickland and that Sickland counsels.